What does AI have to do with the recent big changes in the H-1B visa here in the United States? Let's dig in and find out. G'day, AI is now part of our lives. Almost every day I hear how AI is being used in new and interesting ways. Whether it's writing reports, doing some research, or simply spell checking, we're all using it for those very simple tasks. And they certainly cut down on time and improve the quality of our work. But when it comes to the H-1B visa, this is all about people moving countries, physically taking themselves and their families halfway around the world and settling. This is very physical, it's very grounded. How does this have anything to do with chatbots and AI? Well, there's actually quite a lot. Let's find out. The White House announced these changes on September 19th and they came into effect on September 21st, 2025. The changes are effectively a massive increase in the application fees for new visa applications from $1,500 to $100,000. They don't affect renewals, and they don't affect existing visa holders, but they do affect new. Now, every year in the United States, there's over 360,000 applications for H-1B visa. So what does the H-1B visa do? It allows anyone, anywhere in the world to legitimately come and work for a company here in the United States. Provided that they're sponsored and they go through the process, they can come and work in the United States. And often that turns into some kind of long-term thing where they become a green card holder and then eventually a citizen. So proponents for this scheme include people like Elon Musk, who state that they actually came here to the United States because of the H-1B visa. They gave them the path, and now they have multiple companies, they get lots of jobs and have created value. And then there's those like Bernie Sanders who are against it. They say that it's taking away jobs. Well, they say they want to curb abuses of the system and they want to protect US workers. So why do companies use a H-1B visa to bring people in from overseas? Well, quite simply, it is stated that they can't get the resources they need locally, so they go and bring the talent from overseas. And this certainly can bring very high quality talent because the US is a very attractive place for people to come and live. Wages are high, standard living is high, opportunities are abundant, and people do very well when they come here to the United States, often with open arms with many other people on visas. So it's a very attractive option for people overseas. Often those people are of very high caliber with university degrees, masters and doctorates, specialists in certain areas which wouldn't be tenable to get locally. And I think this is the argument for the H-1B, that it promotes the ability to bring really good talent into the companies, into the core of companies, especially say Silicon Valley and other tech hubs, to really boost the capability and the brain power to make things, to make companies very, very successful. So who are the companies that want to bring this talent in? Well, it's the big tech companies, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Tesla. They're all wanting to bring this talent in, and at the moment the hot topic is AI, and there'll be another one, and they want to get that talent, the best talent that they can, to create the best AI platforms that they're building. They want the best minds here and now. Now, will this $100,000 fee affect them? Well, I would say to a small degree. They may, instead of having 10 openings, they might have 9, but really those kinds of costs are inconsequential for a huge company like that. Where I believe the big impact is going to be is in the small to medium sized tech companies, the startups that might have a great bit of talent that they want to bring them in. They just can't afford that $100,000 upfront fee on top of all the other charges and things to bring that person in. And then the medium-sized companies as well. I believe that 350,000 number of people coming in under that and applications is going to drop drastically because of that hurdle for those medium to smaller companies. Furthermore, we're going to see less momentum behind people looking to come to the United States. They may go to Canada or the EU or UK as their first options, not only because of the difficulty and this extra hurdle, this extra barrier making it difficult, but also the instability that's created and the uncertainty, not knowing whether the visa will be accepted, whether the company can afford it, whether the laws are going to change and go to more stable regions. And so companies, I believe, will suffer that as well. They won't have such good talent, and that means that they could lose their cutting edge. And I think that's going to be more of a problem in the small to medium companies, often where the real core innovation is, where really new ideas that can take off and be massively successful. You've only got to look at some of the incredibly small companies, Microsoft and Facebook, now Meta, who came from nothing and now are huge companies. Would they have been as successful in the current climate because of this new issue? So in response, I think we're going to see some companies changing their tactic. Less emphasis on bringing people in, more emphasis on overseas offices, remote offices, and remote working. So how is AI going to interact with these changes? So at the macro level, we're going to see talent shortages in the US AI sector. So rather than being able to fill all those key spots with this high talent that they're getting from the rest of the world, and let's face it, the rest of the world has 7 billion people in it, and the US only has 300,000, so it's significantly restricting the pool of talent. Acceleration of AI offshoring. And so rather than employing person into the country, it's going to be either hiring them overseas, remotely, or in a remote office. One of the key changes that I want to drill into is offshoring or remote working. This is a growing phenomenon. It has been for 20 years, and Skyllion is adept and has always had this as part of its fundamental model. We look around the world at 7 billion people, 24 hours a day, looking for the best talent that we can hire for specific jobs. So we have an enormous pool to draw from. Provided they have the skills and can communicate, then they're a candidate for Skyllion and Skyllion's clients. It all comes back to one fundamental tenet, and that is communication. In fact, we don't say CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer, it stands for Communications Executive Officer, because I learnt that 80% or even higher than 80% of the problems in the workplace are down to communication, and resolving communication is the strongest way to resolve conflicts in the office. In a way, it's the oil in the engine that keeps it all going. So there's 3 tools which will help with communication, especially those candidates, those remote employees that don't have English as their first language. There are many candidates from countries like India who have been working in English speaking companies for 10 to 20 years. They don't have a problem with that. But we've got many younger people coming through where English is still their second language. We have highly technical things to talk about, people who have accents and from around the world, and they sometimes struggle to understand clearly what's being said. So there's 3 tools that can really help this. One is AI real-time language translation. Now we've just heard that the iPhone 17 and the iPod 3 and higher can do real-time language translation. We don't need that fancy kit. There are plenty of tools that we can use online in our video conferences to do that translation, so that your remote workers who are hearing the words in English can also read in their own language what is being said. The second main thing is summaries of meetings. Often it's a lot easier for remote workers with English as a second language to read the summary of the meeting rather than hear it. It's much easier for them to digest it and dissect it and understand it, and even drop that into another translation and convert it from English to their native language to help them understand what needs to be done. And the third tool, all the great tools that we have for fast coding, so things like Copilot and things like that, collaborating on the use of prompts and distributing that code and reinforcing that code is also a great way to collaborate, because you can see so quickly what the prompt is, what the code is, and then collaborate on the solution. So exponential increase in coding output, also on team collaboration. So 3 really great ways that you can use AI in your remote working environment. So how can a company adjust to these changes now? They can't bring in people from overseas under the H-1B visa, and there's certainly tools to help them with the offshoring. Well, I would recommend exploring remote working and offshoring. We do it at Skillin. We've been doing it for 12 years and we're getting really good at it. However, there's always the other side to this. Offshoring can often be perceived as taking jobs away from people here on the US side. Now, I would say to any business owner, be pragmatic. Make a good business decision. Certainly, I want to keep jobs in country as well. I live and work here. I want to see this country do well, and I don't want to see jobs needlessly go overseas. But if your company is facing ruin because you cannot afford to hire the talent that you need to succeed, and offshoring is an option, then I strongly recommend you take a look at it and use some of the tools that I've recommended to get that stood up and get that working. If you want to know more about remote working and offshoring, please have a look in the description. We've got a toolkit for AI remote working in there. We also run masterclasses, and you can certainly reach out and contact us for any further information. But if you're interested in the breakthroughs in AI, you want to stay up to date, subscribe to this channel and check us out on LinkedIn where we have weekly updates. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.